In Nigeria and in Africa, there is a particular spell, we call it voodoo, juju, whatever. But basically, you meet demonic spirits and they give you the power of invincibility. Of course, this comes at a cost. Basically, you are invincible, but not totally invincible, meaning that sometimes motion detectors can see you, sometimes animals can see you, cameras can also see you, which is really, really crazy because you take a picture and when you take the picture, all of a sudden there's someone behind you. But you look back and there's nobody behind you. Well, that's what this story is kind of about.
I was stationed in England for about 3 years. I worked in a secure facility which during the day was always buzzing with people, military, contractors and government civilians. It was a fenced-in facility on the base, which was also fenced, and had a few different layers of security in the building itself you had to get through. On top of that, we also had our own entry point with revolving patrols. My point, getting into the building was only possible if you either had a badge on you or you blew a wall through it. Nothing in between. At night, however, it was a ghost town. Only between 2 to 4 people. Still had the roving patrols, but they were outside and we never spoke to them unless there was a problem. And it was a huge facility. One night, there's 3 of us working on the night shift, and we had an array of monitors in there that displayed live feeds from the cameras all over the compound. It was one of those where it would show for about 10 seconds, flip to the next feed, roll through them, repeat. One night we got a call from the ECP. They had motion alarms going off in one of the equipment rooms, which means one of us had to go check it out. Lucky me, my supervisor sent me. I get to the equipment room, nobody in sight. I pick up the phone, call over the supervisor and tell him nothing is there. Then I call the ECP and ask them if they can see me on the feed. They respond with the following: "We have 2 of you." I just sort of looked up at the camera and tried to be as nonchalant as I could. And I asked, "Where do you see the other guy?" And I get back, "At about your 5 o'clock. Me, describe him. Them, can't make out his face, but about 6 feet in the BDUs. Looks like a lifter." Note, at this point, BDUs had not been our uniform for about 4 years. At this point, I turned around and point and asked, "Right there?" The ECP confirms it. There is no fucking body there. I asked if they had spoken to the ops floor yet. They said no. So I hung up and told my supervisor to look at the equipment room feed. And he just says, "Who the fuck is that?" I just hung up the phone and bolted out and secured the door behind me, which was a 2,000-pound blast door. I got back to the ops floor. I was fully thinking they were fucking with me. But when I got through the door, security forces were already inside. My supervisor had called them in. So they got out there with me behind them because they still needed to be escorted. So there's 3 guys with their M4s out will be escorted. I reassessed the equipment room door and they go in. They eventually clear the room. Phone in the equipment room rings. I pick it up. There are motion alarms going off all over the facility now, in places that have been fully sealed and secured for the night. We end up calling the main base post to tell them we might have a problem. Security forces spent the next hour and a half clearing the rest of the facility. At this point, we have already notified our commander and his staff, so everybody is tracking it. Unfortunately, the video feed didn't record at the time, so we had nothing to go back to review and see what they saw. But the ECP supervisor on duty and my supervisor, both E7s, had seen it separately, and the motion detection systems did record. And we were able to at least have that to confirm something happened. Each alarm was on its own individual circuit and hardwired directly to the ECP. No networks, nothing digital. 1 or 2 flipping out. Fine. But there were over 30 that detected something moving around, to include low sensitivity detectors. I.e., in order to trip those, you got to have something large moving a lot, a human being walking around, a medium-sized animal, etc. All of this happened just after midnight, so we were stuck in this facility afterwards for about another 4 hours until the morning crew came to relieve us. But because of everything that happened, we had to debrief the commander and his staff, so that meant we didn't get out of there until like 2 or 3 hours after our 12-hour shift ended. To this day, nobody knows what it was. Also, something that we didn't think about at the time that makes me kind of shiver. These were low quality cameras. They said they practically couldn't make out the face. You could practically count the eyelashes on people's faces from 40 feet away on those cameras. They could see my face as clear as day, but they couldn't make out the other guy's face.